When I was 18 and my sister was 5, I was babysitting in the basement of our family's house while my mom was in the shower and my stepdad was asleep. It was my mom's birthday, so she took one of those long, indulgent showers, and I knew she'd be in there for a while. I set out some toys for my sister and turned on the TV. The faint sound of water running was the only noise in the house, aside from the television. Our basement is set up so that the sofa is right against the wall next to the stair landing. When you're sitting on it, if you turn to the right, you can see straight up the stairs. In front of us was the rest of the room: TV, coffee table, the usual. As an 18-year-old who thought it was funny to tease my younger sister, I switched the channel to a scary movie. She glanced at the screen for a moment, then proudly declared, "Sissy, I'm not scared." Of course, that took the fun out of it, so I quickly turned off the TV and fiddled with my phone while my sister played with her toys on the floor. Time passed, 5 minutes, maybe longer, but everything suddenly seemed to still. There was a shift in the atmosphere, like the house had stood frozen. The air felt thick, the lights felt brighter. From the top of the stairs, a voice called down to us. It was familiar, but strange. Distant, almost as if it were coming from another place or another period that wasn't my own. It was far away, but at the same time, so eerily close. It was right at the top of those stairs. My mom was still in the shower, and my stepdad was asleep. This voice, though, was not his, even if he had been awake. It didn't belong to anyone in the house. But it was there, undeniable. It was a girl's voice. A cold, calm voice. I froze, my blood turning to ice. I didn't want to look up those stairs. I knew someone was standing there, and I knew that if I turned my head I would see them, whatever they were. I glanced at my sister. Her wide, tear-filled eyes were locked on me. She wasn't moving. I tried to stay calm, not wanting to scare her more than she already was. "What's wrong, baby?" I whispered. She barely spoke, as if she didn't want whoever, or whatever, was at the top of the stairs to hear her. "Who was that?" she whispered back, her voice barely audible. At that moment I knew she'd heard it too. And I wasn't going crazy. "Who was what?" I asked, forcing myself to stay steady, though my stomach churned and my ears pounded with the sound of my own heartbeat. She stared at me with those big, wide eyes. "Who said that?" My mind was racing, but I asked anyway. "What did the voice say?" And then, with a small, trembling voice, she repeated it. "Hey, Kaylee?" That was my name. My name. She had confirmed my fears in those 2 words, as she focused on my face, awaiting an answer that might ease her discomfort. There was no emotion in the voice, no warmth, no recognition. Just the flatness of a question for me. My blood turned to ice. I couldn't look at the stairs. My body locked in place as I reached for my sister. She bolted into my lap, trembling. We sat there, staring straight ahead, not daring to move. We waited, for what felt like forever, until the sound of the shower finally stopped. My mom's footsteps echoed down the hall. I could barely breathe. My chest was heavy. I hurried upstairs, holding my sister tightly, keeping my eyes narrowed towards the ground. I asked my mom if she had called me, but she said no. There was no way it could have been her. Of course it wasn't her. That's when it hit me. The voice, the one that had called my name, it sounded too familiar. It sounded like me. And that was just the beginning. Over the years, I started hearing it more often, my own voice. My mom would call me, frantic, telling me she'd heard me in the halls of our home, calling for her. But the words I'd spoken were strange, childish, almost things like, "Mommy, help me," or, "I need you." I hadn't called her Mommy since I was a child. And it wasn't just confined to the walls of my mother's home. I'd catch it in my house too. Once I heard myself say, "Bless you," after I sneezed. I would hear it whistling sometimes, or humming tunes I didn't recognize. A low, almost mocking hum. It felt like something was trying to get my attention, only to slip away when I tried to focus on it. At first, I only noticed small, unsettling signs that something was happening to me. I'd walk into rooms I could have sworn I'd already been in, catching a glimpse of myself standing motionless in a corner or sitting unnaturally still in a chair, eyes fixed in a blank stare. At times, when I looked into the mirror, my reflection wouldn't move in sync with me. Its eyes would linger a fraction too long, and the corners of its mouth would twitch as though it was forcing back a smile. My clothes would be dirted and worn, even though I'd never touched them, and strange stains I didn't recognize would appear on my hands. Then, my favorite foods, those things I would savor slowly, started to disappear faster than I could eat them. I'd turn my back for just a moment, and when I looked again, entire plates of food were gone, as if someone else was feeding on them. I started finding things, objects I didn't recognize, sitting in the corner of my room, in my closet, under my bed. Little trinkets. Childish toys. Their presence made no sense. I would wake up to find that I had drawn pictures in my sleep. Abstract, disturbing images of eyes, mouths, strange shapes I couldn't decipher. But when I tried to remember doing it, my mind was blank. I couldn't explain it. I didn't feel like I was in control. I've felt it, whatever it is, slithering under my skin, like a dark presence crawling through my veins, pulling at my muscles, trying to take control. And I couldn't stop it. I started to withdraw from friends and family. Conversations with them began to feel hollow, as if I wasn't really present, like I was always a step behind, always trying to catch up to what they were saying. At night, I would wake to hear my name whispered from the dark corner of my room, but when I checked, nothing was there. I knew what I was hearing. It was me. That mocking, childish voice would speak from the shadows, like it was taking pleasure in my fear. The worst part is, I'm starting to lose track of time. I'll wake up hours, maybe days later, in places I don't remember being. And there's that voice again, calling my name from somewhere I can't reach, or sometimes laughing softly, as if amused by my confusion. Every night, it gets harder to tell where I end and the thing pretending to be me begins. At times I wondered if I had completely lost my mind. It was becoming harder to distinguish where I ended and where it began. I can't escape it. I can't escape the sound of my own voice, echoing back at me from some place I can't reach. Someone, has taken it, and I'm afraid it's never going to let go. And now, I'm not sure I'll ever be me again. I've stopped looking in mirrors because I'm terrified of what I'll see. The reflection no longer matches the person I used to be. My face is wrong, my eyes are too wide, my smile too sharp, as if it's someone else wearing my skin. Sometimes, when I'm alone, I hear my voice calling to me from other rooms, or see myself standing in a doorway, watching me with that same eerie, unsettling stillness. I thought I could fight it. I tried to scream, to make the voice stop, but all I could do was watch helplessly as it twisted my sense of being, shaping my former self into something alien. I've tried to tell people, to ask for help, but no one believes me. They think it's stress, or maybe I'm just imagining things. But I know better. I can feel it burrowing into me, and it's not stopping. I'm not sure if this is the last time I'll try to ask for help, or if it's just another desperate moment in a never-ending loop of this, whatever this is. But I know one thing for certain, I've become a stranger in my own body. And soon, I won't even recognize myself anymore. Maybe I'll just disappear altogether. Maybe it's already too late. Even now, as my fingers tremble over the keys, I can almost feel the cold pressure of another hand on mine, guiding each letter with deliberate precision. I can hear my own voice in low whispers, forcing me to finish the sentence I was too terrified to write. When I spoke, it wasn't me.